it. All right. Hi, y'all. Kelly. Well, now the Missouri Carnivore was Broken Carnivore. I decided to change my name. Um, it was mentioned last night in Mitch's live stream, Old Guy Carnivore. If anybody, many of y'all here that watching this already goes to Mitch's live stream, but if you're new, please go and subscribe to Old Guy Carnivore. Mitch is wonderful. He has an incredible healing journey and especially recovery in the last year. So yeah, I'd highly suggest to go over there. And it is a nice warm day here in Missouri, but unfortunately, we have a cold front coming in that is slowly going to be cooling us off, and we'll be back into the 50s tomorrow. But I believe that spring is here in Missouri. I'm hoping we don't have no more winter. I am done with it. I am ready for spring. I'm ready for the trees to produce its leaves, ready for the grass to be green, even though the mowing and all the other stuff goes in place with that. But I'd rather do my work, yard work, and all that than deal with snow removal. So I know I have a few people here. We'll just say hi. The first one is Jerry. She is here. She is one of my moderators. I'm glad that she's here. I met Jerry a year ago in Montello at the meetup there with Carrie Mann's Homestead Howl, and it was a great time. And I am grateful that I got to meet Jerry, became a good friend, and I am looking forward to be there with Keto Palooza. I've already got my room booked, even though I could not use the discount group code because it was already been taken. The travel agency actually got another discount, and I got the room at that rate. So I have my room booked at the Hilton, the Hilton Embassy Suites there in Louisville. So I am looking forward to it, and hopefully in time that I can drive to Louisville because I will be having my hip replaced August 28th. I have no hip pain, but unfortunately, I have no range of motion, and I want my mobility back. That is the purpose of why I am having this hip. The leg discrepancy, it is an aggravation for me, and no matter what, no matter stretches, strengthening, exercise, and stuff, it is not changing. So therefore, the hip is actually damaged and it has to be replaced. I even saw the X-ray at the orthopedic appointment, and you can tell in the X-ray it is like shoved up in there. So that is where my leg discrepancy is, and my goal is to have my mobility back. If I end up with a leg discrepancy the rest of my life, I can deal with that easily because there's ways around that. It's just I want my full range of motion back. I want to be able to do squats properly. I want to be able to do everything I can, put on my socks properly without having to have assistance or without having to have some kind of device to put them on. So that is my goal. And I'm actually looking forward to how being on carnivore, how quickly I will recover. And I know that they're going to subscribe me with some medicine. I am not going to try to take it. It's going to be a very last resort, just in case if I need it. I know there's going to be a little soreness, but I am going to try to tough it out. I'm going to at least try to do the least amount of resistance, but if I have it, I have it. I'm trying to stay away from the narcotic prescription drugs that they will subscribe. But no matter what, if I need it, they're there just for the temporary relief. But other than that, I'm really looking forward to seeing how amazed that what being eaten a meat only base, this low carb animal based diet that we're on, we call it carnivore, or as Rick will say, the heart attack diet, which, hey, well, if that's what's making me healthy, I'll go for that heart attack. I am so amazed that the last year and a half how this diet has, and I don't even consider it a diet. It is a lifestyle change, and how amazed that I can change and how my mindset is, because when I notice, and if I'm eating something that even if it's like more on the keto vibe, like a sauce or something, and if I noticing a difference or a change, most of the time I will have some kind of skin rash. And like there's things that I'm permanently taking out that like I can't have that. I used to love to have the no added sugar sweet baby rays, no added sugar barbecue sauce. Well, unfortunately, every time I have it, and I had some just a little bit, guess what happened? I had those rashes come back. I also had a little, I noticed a little flare up, especially around the hip area. So I'm done with that. And that's one good thing about it, as you have a more, nah, you have a more mental clarity and you're aware of it. Like you know what was you addicted to, you're no longer addicted to anymore. And I noticing like I don't have a problem being around sweets. Matter of fact, one of the fundraisers we had today at our church was for our mission upcoming mission trip was a bake sale. And being around desserts, I don't have an issue with that. I don't have an issue, as we call it, duck food, duck sweets. I don't have a problem with that. And like I have honey, I have raw honey. Time to time, I may have a little taste, but I don't like. Oh, I got to have more and more. I can deal with that now. And so that's one thing that is a way different for me. Is the addictions overcome. Now, the one thing that I am changing, and I did a change up, and it's more or less I didn't change up to go. I tried the one meal a day, and it wasn't very sustainable for me. And so what I have done is I have changed up my eating window, and it's actually pushing me because I want a slender and leaner look. Now, I care less about my weight, but I mean, in a way, I do care. But the other thing is with this surgery, it's the same thing. I want to get a little more of the weight off, but I also want that leaner physique. And the one things I did was I changed up where my eating windows is. I'll do Monday through Friday. I do Monday through Saturday. I will do 2 meals a day, one at around 9, 10 o'clock, and I want to be finished by 4 o'clock this on the second one. And then like today I'm doing 3 meals a day, but what I'm doing is I'm making sure my fat intake is still up there, because the fat is your fuel. The fat is what keeps us full, but also protein is pretty important. And I feel that everybody in the way this is kind of right, because what it is you're trying to figure out what works for you, and what's working for me now that used to work for me now not working, and now something different is working for me. And eating 1 gram of protein per 1 pound of ideal body weight is working great for me. Now, maybe some days, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less, but I've been doing that and it's working for me. But like Carrie Mann says, you do you and I will do me. And that's working for me, and it's keeping me sustainable. And I'm not depriving of my fat. I'm not depriving of the protein. And it's in a way that, like Dr. Kilt says, sometimes the protein, it glycates. And for me, maybe I'm having too much protein and my body is, adjusting it and turning it into fat. I may have a little too much fat. So I kind of changed up stuff where I still have my monitor to a little more higher fat, because I still want that so I don't get hungry, but also I lowered the protein intake that's going to help me out. So this is working great for me, and I am and this is the best for me, and this is what I'm going to stick with. And I am not going to I'm not going to lessen it anymore. So that's one thing about it. It's way better than eating a standard diet. So I want to say hi to some more people. And Rick chimed in earlier. He said, "Hello, Quackers." Yes, Rick is our longest running carnivore person here in North America. He has been doing it for over 40 years. He's close to Rancher Maggie. That's 83. It's in Canada, but he has been doing it, and it's amazing. If you got to hear Rick's story, why he went carnivore, why he went there, and it wasn't even the carnivore diet. And the thing is like if I knew what I know now today, I wish I knew back then. I would have done the same thing as a teenager, because when you're going through stuff as a teenager, and for me, I guarantee you my hormones is way lower, and I dealt with a lot of that. I dealt with bullying. Had to deal with stuff. I didn't want to go to school. But if you haven't heard Rick's story, I definitely find, there's videos out there. I know there's live streams where he shared. I know I watched one this morning from Black Box Warning. I can't remember how her channel is. I watched her. She did an interview with Rick, and it was really awesome. And it's amazing that someone that is almost 60 years old doesn't look like he's 60. He looks like he's in his 30s, and way he explains, he feels like he's that age or younger, and that's amazing. And he's a great living example. We call him our duck man or iguana man, and he's been out on Hack Your Health. He's been to the meetup in Tampa, I believe, and he just was at Melbourne with old guy Mitch Carnivore's meetup. And one day I'm looking forward to meeting Rick, because he's awesome. He's one of our close friends in this community, and I'm grateful that he is here. And then our dear Sandy Blythe says, "Hi, Kelly," and I am glad that you're here today. Jerry says, "Whipping up some whipping cream in the waiting room." Yeah, I noticed that I was starting to have that issue again, where the live stream, it actually showed up in a different deal. So I went back and I created a new one, and luckily that it popped onto this one that I actually had scheduled, and I am grateful that I am here today. Rick says, "Here it is." Yep. Rick says, "Not using a fancy mic." Yeah, I had it actually back here. I just hadn't put it in front of me. So, yes, I am using that fancy mic. It is not as fancy as yours. It is not old school. And that is kind of neat to have one of those old school mics. Coming in loud and clear. There's Donna Bacon Runner said, "Hi, everyone." Hi, Don. I'm glad you stopped by today. The sound improved now. Yeah, I had it behind me, Rick, and that's one reason why I'm like, man, something's missing here. And I remember my mic was behind me, and I pulled it up forward because I was looking at something else through the TV screen that I have hooked to my laptop. And I believe what Rick says on the carnivore diet, you have the best recover possibility. And I do believe that 100%, because, yeah, there's hard parts. I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to the recovery journey, see how this goes. I know that being on a single income, I have to use my biggest, and this is where I have to surrender and trust God with this and get it through, which some of the financing is coming through, and what I need for the extra income that I need to save up, which part of it is Keto Palooza. Part of this is going to make sure I pay for what little extra expenditure I have to do and get some other little extra bills, because just a few weeks ago, actually probably earlier in the month, into February, the truck fuel pump went out. I ended up having to have a new throttle body, because as electronics stuff is these days is more junk. I like old school better. And like on my truck versus an older truck, like of that era, say the first generation Silverado 99 to 04, uh, they had a cable throttle on the throttle body. Mine was all electronic, And so when the electronics goes wonky, guess what happens? Everything goes wonky. And that was probably part of my issue of why I had a crank no start. Now, since I got my Subaru that I drive daily, it's actually helping the cost on my on stuff. So my biggest, the biggest, I have the biggest stress I have is to make sure every bills are getting paid. But I know I need to trust in the Lord, which I will trust in the Lord. I will trust God, have the faith. It's about having faith, and He will see me through this whole time. And once it's done, I'll be stronger and more dependent on Him, and I'll be stronger and be ready to go back to work, and looking forward to sharing a new journey on this carnivore diet on how recovery, because sometimes we be on the carnivore diet or we have our original journey, but then we take another journey because of something else happens, because sometimes things out of the ordinary happens, just like this hip probably got damaged, or I did something probably about 10 years ago. I fell on ice. And when I got up, there's nothing, I didn't feel nothing, but probably there was something damaged. But also at that same time, I was on the standard diet. Also, I was starting to I went back into smoking cigarettes. I was smoking I hand rolled my cigarettes, but then also kind of quit on that. And I end up going into chewing tobacco like Skull, Copenhagen, that stuff. And I think this is where my blood pressure started going up. This is where I abused my body because I chewed more than what I should have. And this is where my blood pressure went up. This is where I was dealing with other issues. And I noticed that I was starting to have rapid weight gain. And also at the same time, this is probably where this hip, because this is where I noticed, and as slowly going on, I used to be able to, an apartment, paint daily. I would go in there and paint. We'd be cut roll, and I'd be on my hands and knees painting baseboards. And I used to be able, without any assistance, without grabbing onto something, I used to have a paintbrush in one hand, the paint can in the other, like the Folgers. We use a Folgers coffee can or a Maxwell House can, and I would just jump right up. But as time goes, it was getting harder and harder and harder, and then the hip was getting stiff. I noticed it as I decided to go, when I went keto and got out of the added sugars and I went keto, I lost 85 pounds that first year. But unfortunately, also the hip, I noticed that as time goes, I noticed that it was harder for me to walk up. I noticed that I would have this sharp pinching pain in the back, and it was getting extremely stiff. But as time goes, that not only the vegetables, the plants that I was eating, not aware of, it was not helping. And that's when also, a year after I lost all that weight, I didn't even know there was such thing as keto treats, keto bars. Guess what happens? You eat all that trash, you eat all that junk. They claim keto duck food, and that stuff is horrible. And just because it says keto doesn't mean it is keto, because it's got the seed oils, they use the grains, there is chemicals, there is ingredients in there. I don't even know how to pronounce them, and that is not good. Sandy says, nice video on the cheeseburger casserole. Well, thank you, Sandy. That I'm sure there's other recipes out there for a cheeseburger casserole. This one came up in my head after I did the bacon chicken bake or the bacon chicken casserole on the last video. And it gave me an idea. It's like, if I could just do this ingredient and this ingredient and this ingredient and this ingredient, I bet I can come up with another great casserole. And it's a great, if you want your heart attack cheeseburger way without having to eat it as a heart attack burger. That was something that I come up with. It was very creative, and I'm very grateful that everybody's out there liking it. Thank you, Sandy. Oh, we got a Virginia Harriton. I hope I pronounced your last name right. Hello everyone. My coach Jerry sent me here to see you, Kelly, and to subscribe. Well, thank you for stopping by. Thank you, Jerry, for mentioning it. Uh, and I'm glad you're here, and thank you for stopping by. And you're more than welcome to come here anytime. Tell your friends, share my videos, share the journey with us. We're all here. We're all here for accountability and stuff. Where let's see. Here we go. As I was mention barbecue sauce. Rick has a point. Barbecue don't need a sauce. Absolutely right. I don't know when I was when I was on the standard diet, we always had to have barbecue sauce for everything. And the but one thing about it, as I learned to on this diet, is I never need you don't need it the flavor, because what sauces do is kind of just covers up the flavor, especially if you are cooking on wood, charcoal, smoking the if you have a smoker and you smoke your meat and you just put the sauce on there, it just defeats the purpose. Even when they put a lot of the rubs and stuff on there, the sugar, it just kind of hides it. And I like the taste of charcoal or wood. And I'm gonna one of these days, since it is now getting nicer and it's spring, one of my videos I'm gonna do is I am going to cook a steak on my fire. I was going to do a natural fire. I have a fire pit out here. It's not much of a fire pit, but I have a fire pit out here, and I do have a griddle in my shop that I can use, or I can do like it did in the back in the days. I could actually either use a rock, or I could actually use my I have like hot dog forks, like you do roasting hot dogs and stuff like that. I do have those that I can actually use to cook it just like that over the fire. And I wanted to do a video, and I am going to do a video on there one day. So yes, be looking out for that here soon. Sandy said, welcome, Virginia. Yes, welcome. Rick said, you'll see eventually you see sweets as duck food. Yes, I do. I mean, it's when I walked into the church, all I can think of is duck food. But the one thing about it is it's cover raises it was a raise money, the funds, because we had to have like about $11,000, because what it costs to build a home is $11,000. So we're trying to raise the funds. So the one thing we're doing is, this is one of the ideas, and bake sales go really well. We did raise 1,800, but we also had donations to, I guess someone turned their Venmo account into to donations for Venmo. So I don't know how much we will raise from there. But the good thing is our next fundraiser we're going to do is at the end of April, and it is a pulled pork meal, which that one is, yes, there's going to be part duck food, but the good thing is there's going to be some delicious meat. Just give me the meat, I will eat that. So I am looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to this mission trip, because the mission trip, it means a lot to me, especially going over. And it's not about building a home; it's actually being the hands and feet for Jesus Christ, and and the home is just a tool. And people, a lot of people here in the United States will ask, well, why can't we do that here in the United States? Why do we have to go to other countries? Well, here's the thing about that. It's a little bit different here in the United States. There are organizations that do build homes here in the United States. But here's the problem. In Mexico, they're a third world country. In Mexico, they don't have laws. They don't have codes. They don't have to have their house this way. They don't have to have this. all they can build it out of sandbags. I mean, I have seen we my first build, one of the builds were the people that got a home, their home was built out of sandbags, and their sandbags were deteriorating, and that's the reason one reason why they got one of the homes. But the purpose of it is like they have to own the land. They don't have to be Christians, but they have to host Bible studies in that home. And that what it is, it's not about giving them a home. It gives them security because it gives them, windows and doors that locks, and they have climate control because they can do pack unit. It depends on what their area they're at. Because some don't have the options of electricity, but eventually they will have that. But that was the purpose is to it's to bring Christ into those homes, and that's the purpose of that. We're just the hands and feet, and and here in the United States, I would love to see that here, but unfortunately, with the city, municipals, and the state, and the regulations and stuff like that, it's too expensive. You have this house that we're building. It's just a little 3-room shack. It's $11,000. What we expected to build in the United States for someone to help someone like this, it will cost almost $100,000 because you got to have a kitchen, you got to have a bathroom, you got to have, insulate, different things. It's got to be R value. So there's a lot of codes that you have to deal with versus in Mexico. And luckily for me, where I live, the only code I had to do 10 years ago when I put this home, and it's a manufactured home, it's a double wide, is all I had to do was do a sewer permit. That was the only thing. It's a state issue. Other than that, I didn't even have to have the driveway permit because the driveway entrance was already there. So other than that, I can do whatever I want on this property. I can build, I can do my own electrical, I can do my own plumbing, which I will not do drain plumbing because it's one of those that you have to know your calculations. But I can do anything without having to worry about the county or the county or the state coming to me. The only thing that I have to be careful with is when it comes to the DNR with the lagoon. That's it. Or the sewer permit. But other than that, I can do whatever I want on this property. I can build fences, I can build a shack, I can build a shop, I can build a barn, whatever it is, without having to worry about county officials saying that this is not right, you got to do it this way, or they make you tear it down. That's the beautiful thing where I live. Now, if I go to one county over called Boone County, Missouri, it's a little different. But here, since we're a Class 3 county, I don't have to worry about that. Back to some of the comments. Jerry says, hello, Virginia. Glad you could make it today. I am glad too. She said, oops, glad. Rick does 3 meals a day and he looks skinny. And how skinny he is. Yes, he is. That's one thing about it is sometimes our metabolisms may vary, but I know one thing about it is eating this way of life, no matter if you eat 2 meals, 1 meal, 3 meals, I'm noticing that you're more stable. Like my weight is more stable. Yeah, I gained about 20 pounds over the winter, but part of that was a little bit of stress. I had some stress and stuff, and stress does cause weight gain. And by doing this change up, it's helping me out. Now there'll be times coming up if I may have a little bit more protein, a little bit more fat, and it's okay because hey, it's good. Meat is good. Jaguar Southwest says, fat and protein is good. Absolutely. Jerry said, just tried one tallow fried potato chip I made for my husband. Wow, they are good, but I can't eat them regular. Just tried. Yeah, that's one thing about it is tallow. I love to cook tallow. I did eggs in tallow, and it has a great taste to it. But like for my meal today, first meal I just did eggs and bacon. So I just did 5 scrambled eggs, 5 strips of bacon this morning about 7:30, and then of course when I got home from church and after the missions meeting, I got home and so I had some bacon grease because I had some bacon grease in the air fryer because I cooked my bacon in the air fryer. I didn't realize I thought it was solidified, so I was getting ready to turn it on to melt so I can pour it in the skillet and it was already melted still. It was still melty. So I put it in my skillet. And so I had heart attack, pork butt short ribs. I think that's what they call it. It was actually pretty much pork butt cut in chunks. Oh, it was so good. It cooked into that bacon grease. It was yummy. So yummy that you can get that heart attack. Virginia says, and speaking of Virginia, my mother's name is Virginia, so that's a coincidence there. Were those the ones you took to your job or for your friends, Jerry? She was asking a question for Jerry. And oops. I lost my spot here. I gotta find my spot. I lost it. Ah, here we go. Rick said, I've been interviewed by many since 2022. I watched the one this morning, Rick, and it was pretty amazing. I know that you were definitely interviewed by. I know you mentioned you probably was interviewed by. I don't know if you were by Dave Mack. I think you said you were, and I'm sure that you probably was interviewed by Thomas. But I don't think I saw it. But the one this morning that I saw, it was really good. And it was really amazing. It's amazing that we share our journeys. And that's one thing we're here for is we're not here to tell you how to do the diet. We're telling you how to eat. That is your choice. What we're here is to share as a community and our share and be encouraging and saying that this stuff works for us. This is the way, we've been eating this since beginning of time with minimal amount of plants and stuff. It's just over the last 100 years, especially the last 50 or 60 years, it's progressively got worse. But especially when the industrial food revolution came in, is when things started changing, things started going downhill. And so that's one thing about it is we're here to share our journey. It's not to say this is the way you should do it. No, it's say, hey, it's up to you. You do whatever you want. But if you're dealing with chronic inflammation, you're dealing with depression, you're dealing with bad joints, arthritis, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, any kind of diabetes, even there was people that had regressed back off of Alzheimer's because Alzheimer's is classified as type 3 diabetes, that even though it's like type 1 diabetes, irreversible, they had regressed back to more of a healthier, like they got more of their memory back and it was reversing some of the symptoms. And that's one thing about it is like, we're all here to share our journey. We're here, but we may have we may have some similar, but we may have something different, but each one of us shares our journey. And Rick shared where his journey when he started from a teenager to, as a teenager, and he realized how healthy that he was getting, even though he was trying to, like, I'm done with this world, but he realized that he was getting better. And this is why he eats this way. And, it shows. And Rick said, I look forward to them. Jerry says, I just turned 65, but feel much younger thanks to Carnivore. Eat meat and repeat. Yes, absolutely. I am be 48 in July, and I'll tell you this: I feel a lot better at this age, even though I have to deal with the hip for a little while longer before I have the replacement. But I feel way younger. I feel much better. And the one thing about it, I didn't realize when I shaved the other day, I was like, we always kind of look younger as men, kind of look younger when we shave. But when I shaved, I didn't realize how much younger that I looked than I did probably 6 years ago before I started this journey. And as I'm looking in the camera, I'm like, wow, I just can't believe that, we're supposed to get older. Our skin looks younger, but as we get older, if we eat the proper way, sometimes we don't even change. And sometimes we're reversing the age, age of ourselves, our skin and stuff. And it's like one thing I feel about this diet and this journey is I feel like this is the fountain of youth. And I think a lot of us feel that way. Virginia said, "Hello, Sandy. Are you one of Jerry's friends too?" I lost my spot again. This thing like jumpy. There we go. Sometimes this thing gets a little jumpy. I have electronic throttle on my van. Yeah, that's one thing I hate about it. I love old school. It is so super simple. That's one thing about the Rick's truck. It's all mechanical. The only thing is electrical is just your gauges, your electronics and stuff like that. There's no electronics on the engine. It's all mechanical except for maybe a couple sensors, if that. Jerry Jerry said, "Hilly, you look different. Haircut?" I shaved my beard off because it was getting nice and I was getting tired of the beard. So that's probably why you see the different change is I had a beard probably well, when you met me, Jerry, I did have that beard. And so I was getting tired of it. And so I decided to take it off. And that's what I did last Wednesday. I shaved the beard off, and since it's getting nice out, I'll go clean shaven. That's how I noticed that my skin looked a lot younger. Rick says, "I have been trusting in God to help me get the resources I need to fix this truck." Absolutely. He's there for you no matter what. Sometimes you want to know why. Why am I into this? Why am I here? But, he sees us through those things. And one of these days, once you get your resources, and sometimes it may not take a lot of money. Rick said, "A friend just dropped off some roofing papers left over so I can patch another part of his roof." See, that's one thing about it. It sometimes it works in the good. Jerry said, "I probably no, Virginia. The chips I took to work were the ones I bought from Costco." Rick says, "I did a lot of painting, but have a Graco sprayer. I wish I had one of those at work because tomorrow after we moved furniture from the clubhouse, we're having new flooring put in the office in the clubhouse upstairs, and so they're gonna put new base shoe in, and so we have to paint it to match. And I wish I had a gallon airless paint sprayer because it goes so much faster to paint the that base shoe for the floor installers. Jerry said all the people from work ate the whole bag, nothing left to take home. She must have bought something to take. And Jerry said, Rick, look and be amazed, for you are about to see something in your lifetime that if you were foretold, you would not believe. God has great things in store for you, friend. Absolutely. All we got to do is trust into him. Virginia was thanking me. I will mention in our community room tonight. If you're talking about the donations and stuff about Casas, they're about our trip. I'll have an email shortly. Jerry is friend zoned me with on Facebook. So as soon as we get that QR code or the Venmo information, that if you want to send donations to the Venmo account, I will have that shared on my Facebook page. And so if Jerry, if your friend Virginia they want to donate and stuff, just look in the next few days on my Facebook. I should have that shared on there. As soon as I get that, I think the next day or two, the guy that's leading, his name is John Ackley. He will send an email out on that information on the Venmo, so that way other people can donate. So yes, be a lookout on that. Jerry says, yep, churches do a lot of bake sales to raise money. That was one of the things mentioned, and they did that last year, and it did really well. We also did a pulled pork fundraiser where we did a pulled pork meal, and we're going to do that towards the end of April. But we also went over to a small community, our smaller town called Salisbury, Missouri. They usually have their annual demolition derby, but unfortunately this year they're not doing that. It was too much of a hassle, so they canceled that. So I know God will provide no matter what to keep our costs down. Otherwise, it will cost us almost $800 a piece. Other than that, it would cost us only $350, $300 for the trip, for that part to cover the food and stuff, but then $50 for a hotel room to stay overnight. So $350 is a pretty cheap trip. That's all we have to pay. I'm grateful for that. Virginia said, Jerry, where can I donate money to Kelly's church you have on your channel? Well, the one thing you can do is if you look up in the next few days, as soon as I get that get the information on my Facebook, and I might post this also in the community. If Facebook doesn't like it, then I will take it down, but I will also post in my community, hopefully, for everybody that wants to donate to that. I will have that information as well in the community tab on my channel. And look who's here. Dan Lyons Carnivore podcast. Glad you stopped by. I met him last night through Mitch's live stream, and it is awesome to meet new people. And I'm thankful that I got to meet him. He subscribed to my channel. I actually subscribed to his podcast channel. I'm looking forward. I watched one video. I'm looking forward to seeing more. He also said good afternoon to everybody. Jerry said that. Yeah, if it comes up, if you do it through Buy Me a Coffee, I think it'd be better not to do it that way because I don't know how much more I would have to have before I get to receive that stuff. So if you're doing donations for the Casas trip, I'd highly recommend go through when I get that set up in the community tab and into my Facebook page, to go through that because it'd be much better than trying to do buy me a coffee. Because I'm not familiar how that goes because I know some people bought me a coffee, but don't know how to get those funds back. And I think you have to have so much before you start receiving it. And then Lions Danavore podcast says, what you're describing is a Heaven County. That is awesome that they don't bother you on doing your own things on your property. I live in New York and I need a permit to breathe. Unreal. Absolutely right. That's one thing about it is like Missouri, you have counties that you have to have permits, and there's like cities that you have to do it. I know, like for me in the county where I live in, I do not have to have nothing. But I know like I don't know about the city of Higbee, Missouri, where my hometown, but I know the biggest city in Randolph County, Missouri is Moberly. You do have to have permits and stuff like that. But other than that, I know like St. Louis County, Missouri, Jackson County, Boone County, Missouri. I lived in Boone County, Missouri for 11 years. You had to have a permit. I had to have a permit to build a barn. And put it this way, then they asked me, are you going to put electricity in the barn? I told them no, because I didn't. Otherwise, you have to have GFIs, and it would have been expensive. And if it's not up to their code and the way they want it, they would fail you. And so that's one good thing about it, about having it. Yes, you're right. It is heaven country. See, go. Lions Danavore podcast says, I love how this community is mostly Christian. Yes, there's probably some people are not Christian, but majority of us has a pretty good faith. And Virginia says, Jerry, but I don't have a credit card. Can you help me, please? Yeah. Well, once I get that, let me get that before you do any donations. Let me get that information. We'll get that popped out to you, and I will definitely get that on my community tab on YouTube and my Facebook. Oh, here we go. Terry Girl says pork butt is awesome. Yes, especially these days because when I went grocery shopping, when I first started Carnivore, and even though the price of beef was starting to go up, it wasn't near as high as it is now. And I remember I used to be able to get ribeye steaks. I'd get chuck roast. I would get all kinds of ground beef and stuff like that. Majority of my diet was pretty much beef. But as the prices of beef is higher, like I normally every 2 weeks, and I go shopping every 2 weeks, and now it's like I went shopping and I normally buy 2 weeks, or I'll buy like a 10-pound roll of ground beef because that's my primary thing I eat because that's like the cheapest. And the thing is, it's like it's gone up. It went up at Walmart. It went up $4 more. And at Bratcher's Market that we have in our community, it went up $5. And so it went from 45 to 50 there, and it went from 44 to 48. And I'm thinking, well, I got some ground beef in there, and there's some stuff I need to eat in the freezer before it gets freezer burnt. So I went ahead and I got one chuck roast. That's all I wanted. And I needed ground beef, fresh ground beef, or thawed out ground beef. Needed it fresh, not frozen. So I just got that for the actual video that I produced yesterday. It come out, and I decided to go with, I saw that pork and chicken was way cheaper. And for me, I only have 3 stores: an Aldi, a Bratcher's Market, it's a locally owned grocery store, and Walmart. To be able to do stuff to get more deals, I have to go to Columbia, and sometimes I do not like going there. I work in Columbia, Missouri, but trying to go around to do the stores, That is a pain, especially at the end of the day when you get off of work. But I discovered, I think it was CB Carmack that mentioned about a flip ad that's a grocery ad where you get sales and stuff, or the sales ads. I can't remember. So I'm going to have to look. I got it downloaded, but I'm going to have to check it out. So, I may possibly start learning to just do more of my grocery shopping and finding sales on stuff instead of, because when you have the minimal amount of grocery store, they don't put out sales and stuff like that when you have competition. Lions Danivore podcast says Terry Girl so good, deep frying pork butt in beef tallow. What game changer? I'm gonna have to try that sometime. I did mine in bacon grease, but I'll have to try tallow. Let's see. Oh boy. I had to bring this one up. Looks like our favorite troll is here, and one thing about it is we'll welcome everybody, and it doesn't matter about anything. But the thing is about positivity, and it's not about losing weight. It doesn't matter. It's about a health journey, and no matter what you mean, even though this is a question, you mentioned how come Thomas Prime Rib, Russell Homestead, Buckeye, Larry Cassie Carnivore Quest can't lose weight, but you guys have channels. Well, this is the thing. Everybody struggles. We all have different metabolisms. And the one thing about it is, every one of us is about sharing our journey. And sometimes we have struggles. And no matter what, if they feel good and they're happy, the best thing to do is just to leave them alone. And the one thing about it, for me, John Stud, I have lost over 70 pounds. Right now, I want to get a leaner physique, and sometimes I have to change it up. But no matter what, we're here to encourage, and just because some people have a struggle doesn't mean that that we have to put people down and stuff like that. But I'm very grateful that you actually have a question that wasn't so negative. But this is the thing is like, we're here for everybody. And the one thing about it, we share our channels, we share our journey. It's not easy to do these videos. It's not easy to put out the channels and stuff. And sometimes we're very vulnerable. And one thing about Larry and Cassie Berquist on Carnivore Quest, they shared their journeys, and they may have their struggles, but the one thing about it is everybody has struggles. Some people may not have as much struggles as others, but one thing about it is people look up to them because they have the same struggles. And that's one thing about it is sometimes we're asking for accountability. We're asking for the encouragement. So that's one thing about it. But thank you for bringing this question up. It is a question, and it's not negative. But no matter what, if as long as you stay, if you stay on a positive, don't be negative, you're welcome here as well. And as Sandy says, we'll be praying for you. Who's here? Uncle Charlie. Welcome, Uncle Charlie. He says, I'll see you later on Butter Bob's. Yeah, Butter Bob will have a live stream. And Uncle Charlie says, we'll pray for you, John. And Jerry says, and that is why God made moderators. Boom, boom, whoop, there it is. Look what we have. Spanky. Welcome, Spanky. Hello, everyone. Cheers, all. And everybody says hi, Spanky. I'm gonna kind of down. Jerry says, "Hey Kelly, just to let you know, on the behalf of Virginia, I will be giving you a $20 donation through your Buy Me a Coffee. She wants to thank you." Well, thank you, Virginia. Thank you, Jerry. That is very thoughtful. And yes, if Vanette's going towards that mission trip, I will make sure that $20 get there, and then I will collect that $20 put back later on when I know how to do this Buy Me a Coffee better. Thank you so much. Hey, Mason is here. How you doing? Welcome. Wow, that's Robin. Hello. Well, welcome to the channel. I see. Bride's Biscuit's here. Hi, Bride's Biscuit. How you doing today? By saying hello. I I'm actually, one thing about being almost 2 years on Carnivore, which I won't be doing my live stream next Sunday because I will be coming back from Branson, Missouri. But I am looking forward to. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can pull this up. Everybody can see me here. Let's see. Let me get back here. I'm still new with this stuff. Let's do this. All right. Well, I have it set up. I'm new to this stuff. I'll show you what that thing's the final. Um, it's called Young Christians Weekend, or we shorten it up called YCW. It's where the youth around the area, around the country, comes to Branson to Silver Dollar City, not only to have fun but also to come together as youth. And I'm actually looking forward to this one. I will have my own snacks. I'm going to try some Paleo Valley. I'm going to dehydrate me some thick cut bacon before I go. I have that. And I'll probably fix me some heart attack buns so I can have that, because I know we'll stop somewhere for lunch for like McDonald's or something. I'll get some burger patties and make me a heart attack burger that way, where it's so good that you try to get a heart attack but you can't. But I'm just going to take my time. I'm going to enjoy it. I will take my cane with me, and I'll have my treats, because I know it can get pricey down there when it comes to the food, comes to stuff. And a lot of it is, it's pretty, a lot of it is pretty much duck food. But there's a place that sells meat and stuff like that, but it gets really expensive. So for in the park, I am taking my own stuff. I'm going to take me some, I'm going to get me some packet of tuna packets, or all I got to do is just open it up, eat that. That's a good source of protein, and good. It's a good meal. I got these Paleo Valley beef sticks that I'm going to try. But I'm also going to get either some chomps, or I'm going to go to Aldi. I noticed they have something similar to the chomps. I'm going to try to get. I'll have some of those, and then I'll have that. The night before, I will dehydrate me some. On last 2 nights, the 2 nights before, I will dehydrate me some of that thick cut bacon. Oh, it's so good in the dehydrator. I do mine at 165 for about 8 hours, but 165 to 175. Oh, it's so good. And I'll have some of that, and I will carry that with me. And of course, I'll have my salt. I'll have the electrolytes, stuff like that. So I will be good on eating. I'll be good with my meal prep and stuff like that. But I'm looking forward to it, and it's fun to see our youth, have fun. So that's one trip I look forward to. And so as I'm getting ready to end, last night I mentioned in Mitch's live stream that I had some really good entertainment, and so I'm gonna pull up this, and last night I mentioned about my daughter was in the FFA and she's playing donkey basketball. I never heard of it. She showed me a video from another area school that did it, and I'm like, I have to get tickets. I have to see this. And so we bought tickets. I went, she went on the bus, but my mother wanted to go, so we all went. And it was hilarious. It was the best outing I ever had. And so, I mean, I wanted to show this. I wanted to show this. You play the game now, right? Let me pause this. I wanted to show this to my coworkers, and I was going to try to mirror it, but my phone wouldn't work. But unfortunately, I decided the only way to do it, and I had to end up putting this thing public so I can actually use it through my YouTube because it didn't show up on the TV. But I noticed some people viewed. I know Sandy watched it. She thought it was hilarious. Thought it was fun. And so I was going to give you I was going to kind of give you a fun entertainment of donkey basketball. All right, here they go. Making their move. There it goes. There you go. Hey, that's Shooters Joe Jackson right there. Did you hear what he said in the parking lot? He said he's supposed to wear shoes. Screw up. Hey, I tell you why you didn't ride that donkey, you were sitting back in the rumble seat. My daughter played in this one. Look at this half, trying to figure out who plays in the championship game. Come on, Aiden! Come on! Here we go. Well, it's the second round down the road. Are you in the park? You're good. They're trying to set up a play through. All right, there you go. Shifting it up again. Hey, you ride right after the rubber seat. Scoot up. Woo! And yes, good shot. A lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. As I'm getting towards the end of this live stream, I want to thank each and one of you all coming today. I won't be live next Sunday, March 29th. I will be coming back. I'll be in Branson, Missouri that weekend. Might be thinking about planning a maybe do a live on Easter, April 5th. It all depends on if I have family things or not. But if not, you just look forward to that live stream. If not, I will be back probably in a week or two, a couple weeks. So as I end my videos, and there's my daughter right there. She's the one that played donkey basketball.
Hey y'all, I'm the celebrity.
Let's be kind, be positive, have a good attitude, and encourage, support one another. Let's all have a great day. Enjoy the weather. If you're in an area that's really nice, get out, enjoy the weather, and let's have some fun and eat that meat. Y'all have a great day.